Hello, welcome back to the video tutorials. So the last tutorial we completed was basically on the home page, the banner setting. Now just remember that these tutorials basically are going to be consistent for any of your other pages that you want to create or edit. So basically the same will apply. You will have banner, content, and meta, but of course not services, because the services are only on the home page. And of course, the services, we mean the program button. So these are only on the home page. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to discuss the content. So now this is the content area. And of course, the instructor, and then we've got the call to action section, then we got a tutorial section, then we got the Google Map, and then we got the blog posts. So now if let's go ahead and get into that, and we are going to go into the content tab. Now let's start at the bottom, because as I was just showing you, we've got the footer, then we have the blog post, the Google Map, and then we have the reviews. Now as you see, we are using a slant. So if we go into the tutorial here, let me just go to the very bottom here, and those are the tutorials, and let's start at the tutorial section. I think it's the best one, because now as you can see, this is the tutorial section. Now if I click on, now let me explain how this works. So each section is set up of a content and customization. So every time a section is added, that's what will happen. You'll get a content and customization. Content is basically the content, of course, that you will be adding. Customization is what the background of that section will look like. So as you can see, at the very top here, we've got the main content, and then we've got section 1 is services, section 2 is info content. Alright, and so again, if we are looking at the page, services is the first one, which are the program button. Second one is the content, which is what we're looking at. So if we go back into our editor, you will see that that is basically what we're looking at. So now this is the third section, which is correct, because if you look at this is the after the program buttons, that's this section. And then here is the third section, which is that one. So if we go back into here, you'll see that's the right section. So this second section here, which is info content 2, if we toggle this open, it will bring the content for us. So now if I click on the content tab and we go to the visual editor, it will show you visually what we were just seeing. Now here, basically you can add your content through the visual. You can also do it if you click on text, that's HTML. So here you can basically highlight the wording you want, and then you can change the heading, of course. Same with any other thing in here. You can basically change your heading, but really you should have 1 or 2 headings, and then you should have the paragraph, which is the content for the body. And then of course if you want to add an image, click add image, and that image will come into the page for you. So fairly easy to use. Then if you wanted to have a CTA button, you can click the checkbox and then add your verbiage and the link. And now I am talking about this little button here. So if you want to add a button after the content, you can do that, and you can then align it left, center, or right, and I've aligned it center. So pretty easy, the content section. The customization section, as I said, that's the background. So as you can see, basically I've added it as a gradient, but I've got 2 different gradient colors, which are white only. So for something like this, you really only would need color, and then you would just select the color, which would be white. And now this is what I was talking about earlier, the slant. So because this is basically white to white, you don't see it. And I mean white to white because this section is white and the next section is also white. But let's make one of these sections, let's make this top section gray so you can see the difference. So instead of making this white, let's make this section a little bit gray. So let's do it about right there. And then we can keep the content dark because it should show up over that. And I'm going to go ahead and click update. And now if we refresh this, you should be able to see now the break. And you'll see the line basically going from left to right, but it'll be slanted. And on this one here, it's straight across, but look at down below here, it's slanted because this section has got a slant. So what I did here was I basically was that not my that was. So now here we are. So I added my background color, and then bottom right, bottom left. And then you can just hit select, and that will basically just have a straight broken off piece. It won't be slanting anywhere. So there it is. It's just basically a straight section. This one now is basically set off. So, and I'll show you why that is. If we go into our third section now, and we go into, instead of sitting on the content visual, which will be the content visual, we can go into customization. And now here you can see that that section has no select, but the bottom section where it's what are you waiting for, which is our call to action, if I click customization, you'll see that this one has top to right. And what I'm talking about is this guy right here. And what are you waiting for? So this has it from top to your right is where the slant goes. And then of course the bottom here is just broken off straight, and then again you've got a slant now from bottom to left. So bottom of the page, bottom of the section to the left slant. So you can play around with those if you want, or like I said, you can just basically change those to select, and that'll just be straight drop-offs. No slants at all. So that's basically how you can edit your page and your sections. And just remember, you'll be able to see the sections by a complete break. So it will be numbered, and then the next section will start. So you'd see basically location slider. And then there are other sections here, for example. You can basically keep adding content to them if you wish. And then these are, just click on the content. And now in this section, if I wanted to add more, I could click add content, but the background will be whichever one we have set here because it's part of this particular section. So you're just adding more content to the same section, but each section will be numbered off so you know which section is which, and then you can customize each individual sections on that page. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Stay tuned for our next one.